In our studio, our focus group. This time we're mixing it up a little, adding some Democrat voters to the panel. Usually we do Republicans in response to these Republican primary nights, but this is an issue about our sitting president, so we've mixed it up bipartisan today. Jay, I want to start with you as a GOP voter. Your reaction to hearing the president say that, Jay Cowsen?
This is bizarre. This man unilaterally decided to send our troops in NATO into Libya without a word of assent from anybody in the United States Congress, including members of his own party. And he now stands there and lectures GOP candidates about war. This is the same man who on Sunday said to Netanyahu, "I have your back," who is now a day later walking back everything he said to AIPAC over the weekend. I don't get it.
Jamu Green, Democrat, do you think that this was a political speech by President Obama, or do you think this was a substantive criticism he was genuinely leveling at his GOP opponents?
Clearly, it was a substantive criticism, and I think what's more important, it was absolutely necessary for our safety as a country. It is dangerous when you have candidates playing politics with our support for Israel, with our resolve to keep Iran away from nuclear weapons. And you just have to listen to the list of options when Governor Romney says what he would do, what is different between him and President Obama. Actually, as the New York Times says, President Obama is already doing those things. We have to have a bipartisan approach to our support for Israel. Some things aren't political, and these candidates don't understand that. That's dangerous.
Kevin McCullough, go ahead.
It's
GOP
highly
voter.
hypocritical by the president to be taking this path, because while he downplays the GOP nominees as not knowing what they're talking about on the campaign trail, because he's commander-in-chief, it was him on the campaign trail in 2008 that ran so far to the left against war that he was identifying with Code Pink and many of those movements, only to keep in place every element of Cheney and Bush's foreign policy strategies in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Gitmo. They're all still in play. They're all still open. He was the one that changed,
but
not
I want
the
to
GOP.
ask you if you think the president has a point about the casualness of the language on the GOP side when it comes to the issue of war with Iran, which everyone, bipartisan agreement, could agree would be a huge deal. That would be a huge deal for America. Let me just give you a sampling of what we've heard on the GOP side on this issue.
I'll make sure Iran knows of the very real peril that awaits it if it becomes nuclear. I will engage Iran's neighbors. I will station multiple aircraft carriers and warships at Iran's door.
In the Gingrich administration, we would not keep talking while the Iranians keep building.
If they do not tear down those facilities, we will tear down them ourselves.
Jason Schechter, Democrat.
Yeah, I think the president's absolutely right on this, and I think the clips that you show reveal that. I think what's unfortunate is that presidential candidates, historically on both sides of the aisle, have always respected the president as commander-in-chief, particularly when it pertains to critical national security issues. I think John Kerry did that as it pertained to Iraq in 2004. I think John McCain and President Obama did do that in 2008 as it pertained to both Iraq and Afghanistan. I think it's upsetting now to see these GOP candidates distorting facts in a way that at best creates a false choice between them and the president, because, as we said, I think they're very similar positions to what President Obama has already done. And I think at worst, it creates an environment of fear that has an effect of doing things like driving up Iranian crude oil prices, which puts more money in the coffers of Iran and funds their nuclear program.
But are they creating an environment of fear, these Republicans, or is there actually a real fear? I mean, because I can tell you on this show, we've had Ambassador Dan Gillerman on several times, former Israeli ambassador to the United Nations, who, I mean, he's there. He is telling us, we are warning you. This is serious. All the language coming out of Israel seems to suggest they're getting ready to bomb Iran. And we're going to be in it, whether we want to be in it or not. So the question is whether, is it the GOP candidates who are stirring this pot, or is it the circumstances of the world in which we live? Mary Walter.
No, this is a president who's governed by fear. There's always a crisis. And then this is what he does. And I think he was very hypocritical, to Jay's point and to Kevin's point. I think he was hypocritical, but I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Obama is a master at controlling the message. And that's the message that's going to be plastered everywhere. And it makes the Republicans look bad because he twisted it to a way that makes him look good. And they're so casual. And who wants to go to war? Nobody wants to go to war. So he's brilliant at spinning the message. And I have to give him credit for that. But I do think he was very hypocritical about it.
Can I ask you something? Because when I saw that, it reminded me of this movie that I love and that I've seen many times. You guys have probably seen it, An American President.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? And President Obama has been accused or applauded for, look, we have a split screen here, of trying to emulate President Andrew Shepard, the fictional president. Before, Andrew Shepard in that movie got, this is, Michael Douglas's character, got out and said, we've got serious problems and we need serious people. Barack Obama, not long after that, gave a speech and saying, these are serious times, they call for serious debate. Yesterday he talks about how these folks don't have a lot of responsibilities, they're not commander-in-chief. Andrew Shepard, my name is Andrew Shepard and I am the president. Is there any chance Barack Obama is taking his talking points from Andrew Shepard? Tracy Davis.
Well, I don't think he's doing a good job of it if he is, because the way he talks down to the GOP candidates and the way he's politicizing it makes me very mad. I think that they take it very, very seriously, and our whole philosophy has been a strong defense stops war, and that's the whole point. If you let Iran, they're just saying if you let them have nuclear weapons, and they've said they're going to wipe Israel off the map, then, we're taking a strong stance with them instead of going on with this diplomacy. So to act like that, that they're just politicizing it, playing politics, and they, don't have much to do, is really the way that Obama works sometimes, is the way he talks down to people.
Let me ask all of you something. I don't think anybody in this country wants war.
No.
Right? I don't think anybody wants war, depending, Republican, Democrat. But there's a question about whether we're going to be forced into this because of what the situation is right now in Israel. If Israel bombs Iran without the United States, just raise your hand if you would be in favor of the United States getting involved militarily.
We will be already.
It depends on how well they do.
It would be the
So it's splitting right now along partisan lines. Stephanie Hausner, Democrat.
I think to say that the president hasn't taken the Iranian threat seriously is ridiculous, because we've had 7 rounds of sanctions passed. They got the UN to pass sanctions, tougher sanctions that would have ever been passed for it, that had been passed before.
They're not working.
And it wasn't. They are starting to work. And the Israelis have said, Prime Minister Netanyahu has said the sanctions are starting to work. Does he say that it's going to be the end result? Is that sanctions are going to be the answer to the Iranian crisis?
Politically saying that sanctions work is not very credible, because sanctions always go against a nation's poor, which is one of the reasons why President Bush always said to the people of Iran, blah, 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 but to the leaders, something else. President Obama says
let me ask you,
nations...
Bernard Whitman, let me ask you, because the Jewish vote in this country typically votes Democrat, right? But Israel is a very difficult issue, and it tends to unite a lot of folks on the Democratic and the Republican side. So is the president in a very difficult position? If Israel bombs Iran, he's going to displease a lot of people in this country.
Let's deal in reality, not in hypotheticals. If it's good enough for Benjamin Netanyahu, it should be good enough for the United States, because Israel has the most to lose in all this. Netanyahu was very pleased with the president. The president was very clear that he would not endorse a containment. No, he would not endorse a containment strategy. He keeps military options on the table. He does have Israel's back, and he is absolutely committed to ensure that Iran does not get a nuclear weapon. What is outrageous and irresponsible and disgusting, what is outrageously irresponsible and disgusting is when we are still in the midst of winding down the longest war this country has ever fought, over 6,000 dead, almost 50,000 wounded, that the Republican candidates can go out and engage in this warmongering talk when we haven't even figured out how to deal with the cost of a $3 trillion war that we fought improperly and early, and dealt with the 2.3 million vets who are coming back home. It is time that we take care of America here instead of fostering war abroad.
Great span. Let's get to the point here. Over the weekend, as you just admitted, the president said military options are on the table, and then yesterday he went out after the Republicans. Yes, he did. He said,
you are unusually quiet.
I'm just listening to everyone, but the commander-in-chief, that's the most important job that the president has, and the Republicans are being responsible. They're not being casual. He is. What about peace through strength? We're going to have war through weakness, because he has coddled the Muslim Brotherhood. He has told Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu that 1967 borders are fine. He has not treated our friend Israel well enough. He is not treating them like a friend, like the United States, and like the United States always has. Yes, it is. And the Republicans are strong, and they know that
this is a president who captured Osama bin Laden, who wound down a war that we never should have fought, and is committed to protecting the United States, Israel, and the rest of the world. I think he is doing absolutely the most responsible job possible. And the fact that Mitch McConnell goes in the Senate floor therefore authorizing the use of force is outrageous.
Did you hear how he changed his mind about keeping his back?
Kevin, quickly.
He said if it's good enough for Netanyahu, it should be good enough for Obama. So if Bibi drops bombs, by Bernard's own left-of-center perspective, we should be backing up Israel in that.
Tracy, you got 10 seconds.
He changed when he said about keeping his back being. Did you see how he completely switched the next day?
No, he did not.
Yes, he did.
It was like Megan, what it comes down to, none of these candidates have given one example that is different than what President Obama is offering.
Don't you feel like we've touched a nerve?
Yes.
And importantly, and rightly so, because this is an important topic. They're just going to keep going, but we have to go to break. But maybe we'll put it online on FoxNews.com/America Live, and you can watch more of this coming up.
Many people are surprised to learn that silver is out